This is the Mobile Tech Podcast, brought to you by worldpodcasts.com. Now here's your host, Tank Girl, Miriam Joie.
Brought to you by Audible. Stay tuned for a special offer at the end of the show. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast, episode number 2 from CES 2023. And I have the awesome TKB on the left, or your right, and the awesome Michael Fisher on the right, or your left.
Jade's right.
Yes.
Jade's right, yeah. House left.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Miriam.
Are we tired yet?
I'm so old. I'm such an old, tired dog. This show is
Everything
going to kill me.
hurts. So this is January 5th, 2023.
Yes.
The first official day of CES. We've already gone through 2 days of press days. We recorded a podcast last night with Nick Gray and Christian Looper, and hopefully you enjoyed that. So this should be coming out a few days after this first podcast, and we're going to try to cover other things and maybe revisit some of the things we talked about yesterday.
Miriam is such a gem. You always have me on the show, regardless of the fact that you always want to talk about things that other people would like to hear about. And I'm like, no. I want to talk about 15% of that. And then I'm going to leave.
Yeah, but you always have great stories to tell.
No, sometimes.
You're a storyteller.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I
So
appreciate it.
also, if you don't tell the story, I can pretend to be you and go like, "Hi, I'm Michael Fisher, and let me tell you about this car that I would never normally talk about."
Welcome back to the Glory Hole edition.
So-
Michael Fisher.
Oh boy.
You said it. I didn't like it. No, I was actually going to just do
Somebody
this
went
as you
there.
guys are talking.
So those of you who are listening to this podcast going, what are they doing right now? Well, listen, if you join the Patreon, patreon.com/tankgirl, that's patreon.com/TNKGRL, you would know because there's a video version of this podcast that's exclusive to the Patreons, and you get it a day before everyone else. So consider that. It's not the only thing on Patreon, but can you tell us the story behind this, Michael?
Yeah.
Because this is disturbing. For those listening and not watching, we have a cutout of Michael's face with a tiny little hole cut out, which is the aforementioned glory hole.
Indeed.
And yes, you can pretend to be Michael Fisher by putting it in your face.
This comes to me from our friends at Asus. Can I hold it for a second? So this is actually an engineering requirement for a thing I saw, which I think is the coolest thing I've seen at the show.
Wait, they're using you as an engineering template for calibrating the cameras?
No, that would be awesome, though.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
like to be the emergency medical hologram of all Asus laptops. No, so here's the thing. I walked into that booth, and they showed me something, which I will discuss in a second, that does require face tracking.
Okay.
But they understand that we are, many of us, YouTubers, and we need to film a point of view shot, and so they gave us a face mask to trick the cameras with. The face mask has a hole cut out in it,
Okay.
into which we can stick a camera lens and conceivably get the shot. It doesn't quite work that way because the display is so exotic that it will not translate to film. But it was a very nice thought. It gets us a lot closer to content that we can publish, and we have a hilarious little side story.
It is indeed pretty funny.
Yeah.
And we
So-
need the right camera lens to work on that. We got
Yeah, well, it's fine. You can stick any lens. It can accommodate,
It accommodate-
any protuberance.
Michael Fisher can comment. Yeah, no.
All right, I love these words, protuberance.
Indeed,
Okay,
yes.
so we talked about a bunch of Lenovo stuff last night, and I want you, Michael, I know you're excited about it, to kind of piggyback on that. Let's talk about the yoga book,
Yeah.
i9?
9i.
9i?
Yoga Book 9i.
I'm never going to get the name of that. Like, it's ridiculous. My producer's just shaking their heads over there going like, no.
No.
And I'm like, okay, but I talked about this because what I'm excited about is you look at it closed, it's like a laptop, you open it up, boom, instead of a keyboard and a trackpad, you get two, and an OLED too, that's super high end, like super high res 1600
Yeah.
by whatever. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, you can like put 8 fingers down and a keyboard appears on the bottom
A
screen.
virtual keyboard.
With a virtual trackpad. And then you can drag that and then it becomes like an Asus dual screen thing there. You have
Exactly.
a workspace on the
You have
top of the
a
keyboard.
workspace above your keyboard and,
And
the
you can
keyboard
use the
below.
touch screen instead
You've got
of
a
a track-
trackpad with haptics on it.
I
You
know.
click the
And
button,
then-
it
and
feels
then
like a
if
button.
that's not good enough, of course they've thought of that. There's a Bluetooth keyboard you can throw on there on both locations to get both the trackpad and or the work area.
And the Bluetooth keyboard is in a case that when you unfold it and fold it back on itself origami-like, it props up the machine.
and I have a photo of that on my Instagram, so check that out. But
Wow.
look, it's crazy to me because, like, they've done the thing with the e-paper bottom half, right?
They've done so many weird things with the Yoga Book. They had an e-paper keyboard. No, it wasn't e-paper. It was an OEL keyboard. It was like engraved and then backlit first. And then they did the e-paper after that. I don't know if it was e-ink, but it was e-paper of some type. And then of course the foldables, the ThinkPad X1 Fold, both generations where it's foldable. This is the first time they've gone.
And this feels so much more
dual
rugged
screen
than a foldable
instead.
to me. Like, I feel like I could throw this in my bag without having to worry about it. Maybe not.
Durability is the problem with their foldables. It's the
Because
first.
you reviewed them.
The ThinkPad X1 Fold was designed for Windows 10 X, and that was canceled. So they had to make it work with Windows 10, and it was terrible. And then with the ThinkPad X1 Fold 2022, it looks better, but it hasn't shipped yet. So who knows? It's Windows 11. Maybe it'll be better. This one, though, I have a little bit more faith in because it is harder to make Windows scale across the same display. It's harder to make any platform understand that, hey, we were doing this in square, now we're going to do this in wide rectangle.
Oh yeah, that's the problem even on phones, right?
Whereas Windows,
folding phones and stuff.
You tell Windows that, hey, I have 2 monitors. Windows gets that, and it can, I think, much more easily negotiate that difficulty than it can rescaling the display all the time. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I'm sure you guys talked about this last night, it's effectively a Surface Neo, RIP.
Yeah, right.
Well,
it is.
That's fun.
And it's a yoga, so it actually has a hinge that goes all the way, so you can actually prop it as a tent
You can do
and have a
10 mode.
display front and display back.
Right.
So 2 different people can collaborate maybe on something.
Right. Show the person across the table what you're talking about. Share some
This
photos.
is so good.
Whatever, and then or you can fold it all the way back on itself,
It's
and it's
just
a
so
tablet.
good.
It has all the postures of a Surface Duo with none of the pain of using
No pain.
the Android in that particular implementation.
No pain.
I'm sure Windows will bring plenty of pain. I'm sure Lenovo's custom software on top of Windows will bring plenty of pain. We've had too many years of being disappointed by an otherwise great product for me to be terribly optimistic about this, but I'm excited by it. And Lord knows that's what you want at CES. You want to be excited
about it.
right?
Yeah, I know.
That's why I wanted to lead off with that.
Yeah, and so what are the other Lenovo things you saw?
What did we see? We saw a little
So-
twisty thing.
So I'm telling you what we talked about last night. Obviously, the Think phone, which is collaboration Moto.
Yeah, and then 30 seconds later, what else did you talk about?
Oh no! Look, I know for you it's not a folding phone and stuff, but I handled
do you
it.
like it?
I like it. I like it. You know why? Because we always get the janky Moto edges. We always get the
In the United States.
Yeah, we get the ones from abroad, like the really nice ones we don't get. And this is essentially a really nice one from abroad. But we're going to get spec-wise.
It's specced out, right?
It's really nice. It's mil spec too. It's got the Kevlar weave
Aramid,
back.
yeah.
It's got the aluminum frame. It's the OLED has no bezels that are uneven. You can tell, like, Moto hasn't brought a single phone that doesn't have some kind of chin at the bottom because they're cheapening out on displays.
True.
Like, I'm not saying it's the little details. It feels like a well-sorted Moto phone, Lenovo branded as Think phone, and that makes me happy. And
I understand.
The price will probably be crazy, but who cares? It has all the things too: 68-watt charging, wireless charging, Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, a decent camera system that put OIS in there. The ultra wide does macro, so it's autofocus. Like all the little details that Verizon gets them to take out of the edge every time in there, and it's making me happy because it's coming to North America as an official device from Moto.
I'm glad. I think for me, it's just a reflection
It's
of
just
what
another
happened.
phone.
No, well, it's not. It's a reflection of what happened with the Razer 2022, where we had suddenly a Razer that had been criticized for being low spec was retrofitted into something that was quite a wild
Quite a beast,
flagship.
yeah.
Unfortunately, what took a back seat in that process was design. So when I first heard that the Think phone was coming out, I envisioned this thing that, look, does it blend in with a Lenovo ThinkPad as it is? Yeah, or a Think. What do they call it?
Think phone.
No, but what do they call the laptops?
Think pads and think books.
ThinkPads and ThinkBook. Yes, does it look like a ThinkBook? Kinda. But ThinkBooks have always been hard-edged and matte and soft touch, and there are details to the ThinkBook that haven't been replicated on this. What this looks like is a spray-painted black Moto Edge, and with a red button. Like, I wanted more effort in the design thing. I feel like Motorola has lost a lot of its design ambition, and that's what drives me nuts.
It felt really good.
It feels fine. It didn't feel really good. It did, like a ThinkBook feels really good. It felt like a slab phone with a carbon fiber back.
Yeah, but it did inspire that ThinkPad vibe that I remember from having a ThinkPad.
If you took that red button off, if you spray painted that red button silver, would any part of that inspire a ThinkPad vibe or a ThinkBook vibe to you?
The weave in the back, maybe.
Well, we don't see that on a lot of ThinkBooks.
Also, Nick made a good point. They
was that?
completely missed the boat on one thing.
What?
The Think logo on the back, the eye doesn't have a notification LED in it.
This is what I'm talking about. They do not go the extra mile on design anymore,
Fail.
and that drives me crazy because I'm a form over function guy.
You're a fungal guy?
I'm a fungal dude. I keep looking down here and
another-
not up there. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. They're not, they're just like an eye on the wall. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Look, I feel like, it got me happy because there's no phones here. Like TCL doesn't count.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Well, no,
And
TCL showed us all the phones going to Europe.
I know,
And
and it's just
the
like-
phones coming to the US will be at MWC.
so what I'm saying is that in that sense,
If that makes sense.
I had to get excited about something. But also the Lenovo stuff that we talked about. So for some reason, Nick got super excited about that 14.5-inch Android tablet that they have that costs $12.99. That has a Dimensity 9000 in it and 12 gigs of RAM and a super high-res OLED display and a 18,000 milliamp hour battery, like some ridiculous, maybe 12,000. It's
That's a huge
insane.
battery. That's a huge battery.
Yeah, it's a super,
Sure.
think that, remember that Galaxy Pro tab that they had like Android on that was really big?
Maybe.
And they tried to kind of do an iPad Pro thing with?
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
So,
yeah.
so Lenovo said, oh yeah, let's see. Let me show you what I can do on an Android tablet. And I'm like, Nick, it's Android.
It's an
All I
Android tablet. It's a
need-
giant
like,
Android
it's
tablet.
like, if it's better than a Fire tablet or a cheap like TCL tablet, like that little Redmi tablet that I got recently, all metal, 10 inches,
Oh, yeah.
relatively affordable,
Yeah.
runs Netflix like a charm, doesn't feel like crap when you hold it, has small bezels. That's all I need in an Android tablet. At that size and cost, I want a laptop.
Same.
That's
Yeah,
it.
same.
I
And
want
it's got
the-
that magic keyboard looking thing,
I
but
know.
I'll just buy an iPad. Like, why are we doing this?
So Lenovo stuff. What inspired you, TK?
My thing for me for Lenovo is the fact that at least that they're pushing technology, but it's like, to Mike's point, it's the design, it's the innovations. We want to be excited about the tech. We have a lot of different approach to it. Android is a good operating system, but you have a form factor concern when you go too big. It makes no sense. You're looking at a giant display, battery. I think for me the biggest thing I probably will say is Motorola bringing in more devices or better devices to the US. I would be more excited. I like Ready For. I don't like what Verizon does to specifically the version of the tech that we get. But I think at the end of the day, if we're able to get better devices, maybe even a more focus towards desktop experiences on Android.
Yeah.
One of the things you kind of touched a little bit on TCL. So TCL on their next paper tablets, they're starting to implement their own desktop experience on top of Android 13. So they're trying to venture into the desktop experience. Motorola did a really good job with Ready For.
Yes.
But we barely see devices with Ready For on the market, and nobody really kind of covers that. Ready For, I feel like in certain aspects, has overstepped decks. And it's easy to project, easy to connect, pre-categorize experiences. So those are the things I want to see more with Lenovo. I mean, I appreciate laptops and so on. That laptop I end up using, obviously, at the end of the day, has to be a production style. That's what excites me. I want to see creator-style content and type of experiences. So I saw a lot of the stuff on Lenovo, but I would probably say, I actually kind of have to say TCL did bring some stuff. Their approach is different this year, which kind of threw me off. Like every year we see them, we get a little bit of a different conversation.
Yeah, they don't seem to have a consistent approach to.
This year we have the 40 series that was announced, but again, the whole, the international market we see the international devices in the US, and then we're going to see the US devices there. But their approach to glasses, the AR glasses that they came in with the Nextwear S, the V, jumping into the metaverse, there's some additional things coming in from at least the mobile side.
Can I ask about those glasses? Did either of you try those on?
Which?
They're
I
the
tried all three.
TCL ones.
No, I didn't. Were they anywhere? I didn't go to their booth.
I don't know.
Yes,
you
so,
tried them on.
You tried them?
Yes, there's a couple of reels on Instagram. You can check them out.
Oh.
Plug. Sorry.
Yeah.
So there's three pairs of glasses. The Nextwear S, that's their retail unit. You're able to pick them up. This is basically their version of the Nreal or the Roku glasses. So if you're familiar with those, you plug in over USB-C, you get video. It's a 120-inch display on glasses, and you get different shade configuration. Nice, approachable, price point is good. The Meta version, the concept that they put out,
Snapdragon AR2. XR2.
XR2, yeah. So
Thank you.
both the two other glasses that they had are XR2 glasses on Qualcomm's ecosystem. And so I will say this, The Quest Pro looking one, because that's the best one for reference for anybody listening. They had one as a concept. It works great. It looks great. But the approach to it is, where does it fit? TCL isn't in the software business. They're not in the ecosystem of trying to build gamer relationship development software, because hardware is one thing. You want to get that ecosystem. And when I asked the question, they seem to be more. They're trying to see maybe white labeling it a B2B type of an experience.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
This isn't
That's
really
why there was
something-
no price either.
Yeah. That's why we're not seeing any information about who and what and where. But it's an approach to get there.
I just from a hardware perspective, do you remember Focals by North?
Yes.
I missed them.
Everybody misses Focals
Yeah,
by North. They were a kind of a one-of-a-kind experience, and you put them on and you looked goofy. No getting around it. But they look the least goofy of any eyewear I have seen, and I've seen, since then, we've seen Nreal in particular, and now TCL come out with these glasses that, I was trying to sleep, and it woke me back up how hard I was laughing at some of these photos. Like, watching David Kogan try on these glasses, I was like, you gotta at least try to. I hate to be the,
so those are the other glasses.
Guy,
so those were the other AR glasses that they had. There's two sets.
All right.
The other glasses that are going to be coming to production, which is, I think, the one you're referring to, the one with the big bezels. So I was actually, at the time, I was there when Kogan and Jaime were recording. Sorry for the clap there.
Oh, I
was in there. Yeah.
I saw this on your Instagram.
Yeah. So I was, Jaime and Kogan were recording their content, and as they were recording, I gave a little bit of fill life for Kogan when Jaime was recording. I said, hey guys, do you mind if I have you in here? And then jokingly, of course, Jaime was like 5,000, so okay.
Yeah.
The concern with so those glasses are second generation. Last year we saw the first gen. Last year we had basically just a navigation bar. It was basically black and green. It wasn't functional. The issue with the design and the way they have it right now is that the placements of the displays and where the content is showing on your display, it shows somewhat in the center bottom. So every time you look at somebody, you look like you're cross-eyed looking down. Or
that was a Focals by North problem too. Yeah. You were always looking up and to the right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with this one, both Jaime and David were saying, and again, nothing against TCL, but it was more like they looked like they were high. You're like, what? Yeah, bro. So the approach to them, they're more functional, they work better, but you're right.
What do they enable? What is the killer thing besides putting 3 monitors right in front of your face? So what do they actually do?
For me, it's, if I had to kind of compare it to anything, I would probably call Google Glass to the next level, where the content is in front of you, but even if you were standing in front of me, you couldn't see that the glass is wrong. If you're standing behind me at an angle, like a more of a lower end angle, you could see that something is in front of me. So from that approach alone to what we saw last year, I felt like the transparency mode was done much better. The approach to the display, the touch configuration, the camera was working. The live translation was the kicker.
You're tethered to your desk with these things, right?
No, those are wireless.
These are mobile?
Yeah.
All right, good.
It's
XR2. Oh, these are the... Yeah, I got it.
The Quest-looking version one is also wireless. So none of the things that they had were wired except for the NextWear S, which again is USB-C.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
But these are Bluetooth connected. The device has built-in storage. There's a camera between your eyes.
Yeah.
And I did take a picture of Kogan and Jaime, but they didn't have it tethered to a phone, so I couldn't check it out.
Right.
But everything in there was working. Where last year, literally all we could do was swipe, swipe, swipe. This year, I can open the camera, and the live translation was kick-ass in the sense of, so right now it only works English Mandarin, but they had that running. Jaime and Kogan were able to actually listen to it. So
cool.
I can see that the future they're going for, but I still don't understand how does it. You're right. Like what's going to be the special? I gotta wear this kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're right. The batteries stick out in the back a little bit too much and kind of a thing.
I mean, look, it seems like for me, like we've seen AR glasses at CES or in general for years now, and there's definitely an evolution. Like they're definitely getting thinner, lighter, smaller, less tethered. But we're still like, it feels like it's moving compared to the smartphone world. It seems like it's taken a decade or two almost to get there.
It's glacial.
Like it's amazing, and I think it just shows how hard of a problem it is to solve.
It is difficult,
but also making it so that people use it and don't feel like, walking around with
think
I don't want to be that guy walking around.
Needs to be coming into this space.
Yeah. I'll hold my breath.
Yeah, right.
The moment Apple invents it, yes.
So other things from Lenovo that stood out for you? Because we just talked about those 3 things.
Right. I didn't get to play with it much, but yet again, they've put the e-ink panel on the back of a laptop.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so you open it up, you've got e-ink on the back panel, you've got OLED on the front. You spin that thing around, and
Oh yeah, it's got that
you can-
old school hinge, like
right.
a
And
lot of
you
the
collapse it down on the
Transformables
keyboard.
were back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool.
That's that's kind of fun. I like that also because as a writer, you ever get served those ads for the e-ink screen typewriter thing?
Yeah.
Costs way too much money and is heavy and
Yeah,
dumb.
and it's ugly.
It's like no distractions. Well, cool. If you buy this, you can spin that hinge around and have an e-ink Windows laptop. You throw in airplane mode and you can write in Microsoft Word for probably a long time.
5 flights across 5 continents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, it's just another little bit of that weirdness that I love Lenovo to bring to a show.
Well, that's what I like about Lenovo. They're just like, I kind of feel like a lot of time they just throw things at the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
the original Yoga, book with a dual screen with the e-ink on the bottom. Like, that thing was so sexy. It was very compromised, right? It had a lot of issues.
But it was so
But it
thin.
looked like the hardware looked like the future.
Yeah, I
amazing.
saw that one at MWC. Actually went there with Jaime. I was at the time I was with XDA, so I was doing the video recording for Jaime. So as he was doing the stuff,
I got a review in of that for a bit.
Yeah, I reviewed the first one and I was like,
Good times.
Come on.
It is.
So,
yeah.
anything else stood out? So, Asus, let's talk about Asus because I know nothing about what they announced. They didn't reach out to me. Esther is lovely, but she doesn't seem to respond to my emails. I wasn't able to get Zenfone 8 last year, which I think is one of the best phones of the year from a lot of the people I've talked to. I like the previous model. So, Asus.
You have not been, right?
I have not.
I'm the only one who's been.
Yeah.
And I've only checked out one product.
Which was?
The only thing you need to see.
Okay, well, there we go. Problem solved.
So this is the reason for my mask, as I told you. It involves camera tracking. Listen, I put it this way on Instagram. What do you tell someone when they invite you to come see a new 3D display?
Get the glasses on.
Well, all right, sure. You're a very kind person. Sorry. No, you tell them to get the hell out of your face. I'm not trying to see another 3D POS. No. I've been fooled too
We're
many
done
times.
with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what I told them. I was like, guys, I'll stop by for 5 minutes, but I love your dual screen laptops. I'm not in here for another 3D thing. They're like, just come. Okay. I show up. I look at it. I almost fall over because at first my brain doesn't know what to do. It's a laptop. It's one of their, high-end creator laptops with a dial in it and whatever. And my brain is like, there's a lot going on and none of it makes sense. And then I chose to focus on one of the objects on the screen, which I think was like an exploded robot hand or something on it was a piece of art being displayed on the screen. And when I treated it as a thing to focus on in the real world, it all came together. And suddenly, without glasses, without anything, I'm looking at this laptop and it's like a window into another world.
Into a 3D world.
And then they're like, all right, well, here's a T-Rex model. And it's reaching out of the display, not in a scary way, not in a like jump scare, but like you can change this dinosaur around because this is Citrix or whatever. And I'm like trying to touch it. And I'm shooting myself, I'm filming myself doing this, and I'm like, this makes you look like a total idiot, but it is weird to my brain that I can't feel this.
Right.
And it's really weird when you kind of like
Trying to look over.
yeah, because I'm like, at one demo that you're looking down into this trough and there's a butterfly and I can't quite see it. And I'm like, why is it? And they're like, yeah, just sit up in your chair. And I'm like, oh. And you're like looking past the bezel of the display. The fact that this is happening without glasses is wildly impressive.
And it was clearly tracking very accurately.
Tracking very accurately. Totally unreproduciable in video.
Absolutely.
I was like, guys, I would love for you to send me a review unit of this, but I will not be able to film it. And I tried, and it just looks like an acid dream on camera because it's doing some incredible stuff. It's OLED, and this is what's important. I think like most of this 3D stuff was done on IPS on LCD before because
it's crap.
and it's on OLED, so you get all the traditional benefits of OLED, but also this particular display technology it requires it, or it almost shines better on OLED for reasons that I only vaguely understand right now, so I won't go into detail. But you have to go see it. If the reason you come to a trade show is to see things in person that you cannot see any other way, you have to go see it. This is it.
Yeah,
go see it. I wish I knew what their branding was. Just the Asus 3D thing. I should look it up so that I can
figure like
get it on the tape.
practical application of other.
I mean,
Experiences like
for
this,
CAD,
like
for CAD, right?
Well, yeah.
It's a 3D creator laptop.
Yeah. So like there was a watch model at one point. It was a CAD model of a Breitling wristwatch.
Yeah.
And they were like, thank you for bringing that up, because there were methods of manipulating it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to. You were trying to put your hand over,
Right.
So the spatial awareness is there, but I'm trying to figure out like visually, when you said there was like that creator dial, like I'm like, okay, so from a creator standpoint, how
like
the control function.
I never touched any of the built-in computer stuff. They had a partner, like a wand with a wire, like a USB wand, and then an IR camera to track your hand. So it's kind of, it's not a very portable setup. But, I pick up the watch with the wand and I'm like bringing it physically closer. I'm like, cool, now I want to see behind. They're like, yeah, just turn your hand around. And it's like, it's kind of like having a HTC Vive back in the day or an Oculus or a Quest experience without the headset.
Without the heavy gear and display and the ring.
Yeah.
This is the one, yeah?
Yeah, the ProArt Studiobook, what, 16?
16 3D OLED.
Yep, ProArt Studiobook 16 3D OLED.
Check it.
Do check it out. They were saying third quarter for the 3D version, and pricing only a few hundred more than the non-3D.
So lots of expert books, some Vivo books, some Asus Tough Gaming. Tough. ZenBooks, Chromebook Vibe. Oh, I want to talk about something I didn't talk about last night that really was impressive. If you're into it. Chromebooks. If you're into Chromebooks.
I know what you're going to say.
HP.
Yeah.
You saw it, right?
No.
The white one?
No, I have to see it in
You've heard
person
about
because
it.
I've only seen photos and it just looks like another Chromebook, but everyone says it's beautiful.
You have to touch it.
Huh?
Now, it's not a Pixel. It's not a metal frame. That's the one thing that it's. Remember the Nokias with the unibody plastic that was machined? It had that soft touch, but you knew it wasn't a painting on top. It was the real deal.
It was the material.
It was the material. That's what it's made of.
Okay.
And it's got an RGB keyboard, which you're thinking like, what? But it's completely configurable from inside of Chrome.
I like that.
And it can change to match what's displayed on the screen at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And but the specs are impeccable. Like Core i7 12th gen, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. The keyboard feels incredible. The trackpad is tops. The display is like, I think an IPS, but it's 1600 by 2200 or something. It is the highest end Chromebook we've had since the Chromebook Pixel.
I was going to say since the OG
or the
Pixel.
Or the Pixel book, the original.
No, you're forgetting the Fire Engine Red Weirdo Galaxy.
Oh, yeah, there was that one.
Oh, that was last.
You're right.
Was it last
Galaxy
year?
Chromebook, no, 2020.
2020, yeah.
But dude, like that thing looks $1 million, and it's the first Chromebook with an RGB keyboard or whatever. But I rarely get excited about laptops. But I like Chromebooks, so that got me a little more excited. And then she read out the specs, and I'm like, she must be reading the specs from another laptop here. But then I checked online, and
Yeah.
They probably let you root Linux on it also.
So I guess Asus had a Chromebook as well. Some displays. Some ProArt Station, desktop for artists.
Did not see.
ProArt Backpack, a backpack to carry your ProArt Station.
Oh, I didn't see that either.
Stay creative on the go.
I have
OLED ZenBooks.
I guess, yeah. I don't know, they dropped a few things.
Oh my god, it's impossible. There's so much stuff.
Even they were like, they would have shown me anything I wanted, but they were very clearly excited about the one thing.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Did you stop by a Samsung display this year?
I stopped by I wanted to see the new gaming monitor, the 49.
So tell us.
There were several Samsung, and I didn't go to the one you went to.
We were talking about televisions, and you were going to talk about displays.
Samsung Display,
different.
Mostly mobile, mostly tablet.
They make futuristic OLED, which flexible screens, and
a lot of which we saw last year, but I wasn't here.
I was going to say, last year they showcased a whole bunch, the rollable, the foldable, like a whole bunch of different technologies that I was hoping was going to go somewhere near the fold.
Well, yes, it did. In the LG rollable, we never got because LG was too chicken.
No. I'm actually talking Samsung.
To release it.
So Samsung Tech actually last year showcased a whole bunch of different form factor displays.
Right.
That almost didn't show up anywhere.
Well, so they make them, and then a customer has to want to buy them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And Samsung Electronics just feels, even Samsung Display, I feel like the story of Samsung for the past few years has been like, how do we save money? How do we make better margins?
Absolutely.
So we've had a very iterative couple years in foldables from them, and I asked Samsung Display several questions about how they engineer their panels. Always mentioned was, well, this is less expensive. This is how we do this. This reduces cost.
It's a cost.
Yeah. So I get it, and it's a very expensive field because there's a lot of complicated engineering. The new things I saw though were Remember Motorola showed us the phone that starts out like a slab and then you push a button and it gets taller?
Oh my God, that was so good.
Samsung had a display, had a version of that, which is very cool. And then a couple tablets that do a little widey thing. And then I think TCL did this too. Yeah, they did the fold and roll with it.
Oh my God!
You know, called it?
There was the scroll that was last year's demo when LG was showing it. So they had the scroll that was like the long one, but then they had the roll. Yeah. The TCL,
This was a Samsung one that combined the
did something similar for
rollable
that as
and
well,
then a foldable. So like, it's crazy. That probably shouldn't come to market, but like it was fun to play
I'm
with.
still really butthurt that LG didn't make the rollable the final product.
Same.
From what I've seen, I think it looked like they made it, it just never shipped it.
That's what I'm pointing. Like, why would you go through all this effort and not ship the thing? Even as a limited edition final run, we made 1,000. They're $10,000 each. Buy them. I guarantee you they would sell.
Oh,
they would probably sell, but it would be more expensive to support them over time, right? Because they have to
you don't
support
have
them.
to no.
They've said. I mean, they had to support the Wing customers.
Well,
it was expensive enough.
They could say an exception to this one. Like, it comes with the software it comes.
Yeah, right. How do you call that in sales? What you see is what you get?
Yeah.
Buy everywhere.
It's true that, this is something we didn't talk about. Yes, the LG Wing got a software update recently. I need to pull mine out and update
I need to take mine out too. I know.
I'm never giving up that
so
phone.
sad.
Nobody's ever getting it because it's the final phone.
So, I will say this: we've seen, for the most part, we seem to be stuck in a form factor. It's that open book experience right now. Everything, companies will show us demos, they'll show us different pieces, but for the most part, we have either the fold form factor, we have the Opal, the Find N2 series options that we got now,
which is another book.
The form factor essentially is the same thing. It opens, and you have the flip form factor, and that's it. We're stuck. Every other company that releases theirs. But this is where I got excited last year when I saw all the different technologies from Samsung displays. Because you're right. The displays we see in other companies' phones are Samsung displays. So you have to appreciate that form factor, but we want that movement. 4 years of the same right now.
Yeah.
We need that next level of, give me that rollable. There was architectural issues with that I found from last year, that never picked up. The one that expands sideways, like the one we saw from LG and so on. The structural construction behind the secondary display, although rigid to have it in front, doesn't stand well over time with
pressing on it. Yeah,
so
I believe it.
That was because it can't be as rigid as the main body of the phone.
No.
So there's a limitation where with most foldable we have a rigid construction behind it.
Actually, yeah, the Samsung version of the one that did both, the slidable and rollable, I think they call it the Flex Hybrid.
Okay. I was going to say the slide and roll, but
when you actually close it up, though, this thing was in like an armored box.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it looked like what the Think phone should have looked like. It was like this aramid, hard-edged, like black box, and you couldn't. And it protected the display very well. So makes sense.
But that's what I want to see more. That technology we're seeing right now. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Sophia, what's the name of the company that made that watch? The oh my God, it was at IFA a couple years ago.
When it was all display all the way around.
Yeah. So
Nubia did that.
Nubia did some. Yeah. So Nubia had a watch. Never seen a sequel to that, but. Although it wasn't very real, protected very well, I liked that approach. I felt like we were finally moving forward because we're just stuck in a form factor right now.
Yeah,
and we're specific ones,
especially in the U.S. Because of the among other things, the Samsung Apple duopoly.
We're losing a lot. I mean, not to kind of segue the conversation, but. OnePlus 11 not being launched.
Oh, let's talk about that because we talked about it yesterday. We already had a bitch fest about it. I had a bitch fest about last week when the rumor was happening. We can have another bitch fest about it.
It doesn't have to be a bitch fest. I'm very
I'm annoyed with it. This is not how you launch a phone now. If you really want to get the OnePlus audience back on track and excited in North America, you don't pre-launch it in China like this. You messed it up last year. Don't do it again this year. Oh, we're going to do it again. Oh, it's one less month. Come on.
It is confusing, for sure.
I feel like last year I could kind of justify it because we had the whole thing with COVID. I mean, CES last year obviously was nothing like what we have this year. And I understood partially why. Because we were supposed to come over and they were supposed to actually show us the devices here. There was a whole thing, they set up the party, whatever, and then all of that kind of went out the door and then we kind of had last year. But I think to a certain point, OnePlus is it's in an evolutionary process right now with the whole Oppo concept going on in there. Oppo wants to commit money, but then OnePlus is still also kind of discovering themselves. We don't have a Pro. We're talking about an 11. We're also
Yeah,
talking
but
about.
it looks like it's going to have all the specs.
Oh no, absolutely. I don't think they skimped on the Pro experience, but launching it in China first, and also internationally launching it in India only, not having like they've done in the past, India, US, and UK at the same time. That's what got me confused. I'm like the approach of why we're doing that.
Do we know that it's only going to be available in India to start with, or China and India first?
The way I understood it is
only China, right?
Right now, on the 9th, it's available in China. And then after the 9th, all the way till the 7th, obviously, it's only there. And then on the 7th, it's globally. They refer to it as a global launch. So I was assuming...
February 7th?
February 7th, which, I mean...
And we should be getting our review notes before that. But here's the thing. I'm happy about the fact that we're getting, at least now it's a month, whatever. But I just don't like the idea that OnePlus should be prioritizing the whole concept of, hey, why don't we make this a North American brand, Mm-hmm. It's like, why do we have to, not necessarily North American, but a Western brand? Somehow with the whole Oppification, now they're doing things that Oppo are doing and Vivo are doing, which is launching in China first. And I get it, but at the same time, I'm like,
well, Oppo
this is your chance to have Oppo with slightly different design in markets that are non-Oppo markets.
Right.
Why don't you prioritize those markets and actually give them the things they want? To me, a North American flagship phone, not a folding phone, but a regular slab, should be a dual camera phone in the back. It should only really have, unless you want a telephoto, you don't need all these extra lenses. You just need a good main camera, a good ultra wide that maybe has autofocus for macro functionality.
Bring back the ultra wide
That's
from the 9 Pro.
Be,
And I'm with you.
And I feel like nothing did it. So why can't we have OnePlus play in that league?
OnePlus
really compete with Samsung and Apple on their turf by removing all these superfluous features, focusing on good software, bands from the markets. Good design.
If you were talking about any other company, I would say, it's hard if you don't have carrier support. But OnePlus already has; they are already present on T-Mobile. They have that foot in the door, and so why not? No, exactly. I'm saying you're right. It's confusing that they're not leveraging that.
Make the price such that when you look at the spec sheet, Apple people are not going to look at the spec sheet, but if you look at a Samsung phone equivalent, you go I'm going to buy the OnePlus because it's actually $100 cheaper and it's pretty much there's no compromises, and I get better software, and that's not happening. And so I'm worried it's still not going to happen in the 11. I hope they can still course correct for the 12, but I'm kind of getting impatient. And I understand that Pete wanted to opify the thing, and it makes more sense logistically, cost wise, all that stuff. But at the same time, I'm just you know what? Focus on the markets. That's how you differentiate from Oppo.
One question I've been asking
you could
people,
possibly build them on the same assembly line because they could have the same specs.
Oh, no, absolutely. We already know that whatever display they use on the 11, or at least the way we've done it in the past, it's on the Oppo Find X6 Pro. It's already on. That's the same exact display. I'm wondering if this is the approach of going with the 11 and not in the 11 Pro, meaning that we're probably going to be looking at maybe an Ultra or maybe a higher end version down the road, which is what we haven't seen in the past yet. We've seen Pros for them for a while. Last year we didn't see a standard model. This year we're getting standard naming but still Pro specs. Is it possible that maybe this is the year where they finally start bringing in some of that experimental Oppo technology? I want to see the Find N2.
I want to see the Find N2 in the States with a US ROM.
Yeah, exactly. A global ROM. Those are the things I wanted to see, the benefits from that marriage relationship that we have. Right now, it seems like it's more, Oppo's getting some, we got Hasselblad over there, we got some of their experiences. We're getting, obviously, ColorOS benefits on our side, but we're not getting that other Oppo goodness stuff. The N2 Flip is hopefully coming out soon.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the things you want to put that in. I want to have that reciprocal relationship come in.
What I want to see is I want the OnePlus 11 to cost the same price as the OnePlus 10T did, but deliver the feature and the specs of the OnePlus 10 Pro.
16 gigs.
That's what we need.
Gigs, man.
That's what we need.
On the 10T, that was crazy.
That's what we need. And then it's you look at the spec sheet, it makes sense to buy the OnePlus. And more importantly, what we also need, and I think they're kind of missing the boat on, is, now we're going to get the specs from the Chinese model, and we'll know for sure what's going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that out yet? Do we know? Does it have a 1-inch sensor?
No. They went with a 50, 48, and a 32 portrait. 50 main, 48 ultra, 16 front, and 32 portrait. At least that's what I was able to see online.
Okay, and the portrait is like a 2x non-stabilized.
I haven't
dedicated,
seen, because
kind of like we've
they've
seen
done
on
the
Oppo
announcement
before.
for the most part, and
Kind of like the Oppo
100 watt charging, 5,000 milliampere, and 4K, not 4K, 2K 120. So I'm still no higher, no 144, no 165, but it's the A Gen 2, everything around the A Gen 2 kind of a thing.
What phone are we talking about? Sorry, I fell off during that avalanche of specs.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I think 11.
Oh, the thing where you haven't seen it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
now that the review units are going to be available to journalists who have access to Chinese market devices,
Yeah.
it's spoiling everything.
It is.
Like, we have the specs,
It is.
we know what to expect, we can look at the Chinese pricing and roughly deduce what the American pricing is going to be,
Yeah.
unless they really surprise us.
Yes.
And then on top of that, we're looking at, as already, there's not, I was expecting that 1-inch sensor, I wanted the 989 in there.
And I think everybody wants to see that. I had a chance to play with the Vivo 9, the X9 Pro, and just to see the 8.9 and the 9.9 in the device, it's just crazy. I'm loving what Vivo's doing. The other side of BBK with the camera experiences.
Vivo is very capable and very impressive.
Very.
Yeah, they're doing some wild stuff. They're foldable. That Vivo X Fold was the best fold of last year.
I played with the X90 Pro.
Oh, yeah, this is
Not the Plus. The Dimensity 9200 one, the rare unicorn of a phone. I have a photo here for the Patreons. Yeah, I loved it. It was really nice. I did that this morning for breakfast.
Isn't that pretty red phone that they ruined by putting the dumb slogan on the back?
Yeah, the slogan on the
font?
back that's really upsetting Richard Lai.
Oh, hey, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, you have it.
No, I don't have that one. That's the Pro Plus.
Oh, you got the Pro Plus. You bought
I don't
it?
have the Pro Plus.
Extreme imagination
I
with
stole
an
it from a
X.
friend for about 24 hours, and
Okay.
he'll be
In
hunting me tomorrow
basically
morning.
Comic Sans.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. It looks very similar. This is a Pro Plus,
But
but
you may want to take the case off so you can show the
there's a
camera bump.
there's a case on
There
it.
is also a case on this one.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
very
my-
confusing.
My friend went
That
all
is
the way
quite the
out.
camera bump. But yeah, this is very similar to the Pro Non Plus. This has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2,
Yes,
and
yeah.
the Pro has the Dimensity 9200.
I'm nonplussed by that.
Is there any difference in cameras?
No.
So that's nice that they went for the same.
They went very similar, very different than what we saw last year with the 9000 and the A-Gen, but it's more about, I feel like, I remember Vivo when Vivo was all about stabilized gimbal experience. You can run with this phone and you can do that. And then one year they just we woke up like, what? Where did Vivo come around? Like the camera experience.
For me, it started with the X50.
So for me,
X50 Pro.
The 70 Pro Plus for me has been my daily driver, camera, B-roll camera, anything I shoot. I was literally covering the show with the X70 Pro Plus. So I was able to steal this. So this today would be my X90 Pro
So
Plus.
I've gotten them all since the X50, and sometimes they've sent me both the Pro and the Plus, and I'm like, oh.
Well, our friend that you saw the Pro Plus had the Pro as well. So which is also a 9200. So it looks like the standard 90 Pro are both 9200, and then the Pro Plus is the HN2.
Yeah, that's right.
Which we'll see which
So
one comes to the
as soon as
international
there's a global launch of that phone, I will get a review in it.
I hope so.
Basically, because they currently have the 80 Pro because they didn't do a Pro Plus, and God damn
Vivo,
it, that is a good phone.
If you're
That is
listening,
such a good
I
phone.
love you. Sorry.
Oh well, of
I got
course.
it. I got
we
it
love
covered.
you, Vivo.
Stop
Please
pandering to
work us out.
brands, TK.
I got an open
Do it,
relationship.
Michael.
I got
Vivo, if you're listening, why aren't you here on the air with us?
Yes. We would love.
So yeah, so that's a phone that's here around at CES right now, and so I got to
Doing
play
its
with
round,
it.
yeah.
Very nice. What else? Oh, that Techno phone. I'm getting a review in it, guys.
Oh,
So I'm
good.
excited about it.
Because I couldn't get.
The Technophone with the moving.
Yeah, the Cyclops thing.
Yeah.
The monocle.
It doesn't work here, right?
Does it? I don't know.
I don't know.
None of the
I'll
other
let you know.
Technophones work here. They don't
Well,
even have front end.
I have the
Wait,
previous.
Techno has other phones?
I have the previous Techno phone.
The Mondrian phone.
The
the first time
Mondrian.
I've ever
I have
heard
the
of Techno. I honestly thought it
non-Mondrian
was a-
version of that, and it works with 4G.
Oh, does it? Oh, you're the Latin American version.
Correct, probably.
Yeah, I had the African one. It wouldn't even register on a network here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They probably whitelisted. It needs to be whitelisted.
No, I think I was asking Finbar at MediaTek, and he speculated that they don't have the RF front end
At all?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, I got a chance to see the orange one from our same friend last night, and it actually looks pretty cool. I like the approach to it, and it jumps in. The camera actually moves forward ever so subtly.
I love a little trick.
So we have a special treat for you folks. Michael has to go, but
Yeah.
Nick Gray is coming. Nick,
Magic
what do you
trick.
bring to the table? You told me about a couple of things yesterday that you're excited about.
Yeah, so I usually don't get excited about webcams because they're webcams, right? Everyone's got one built into their laptops, and they're just kind of a boring category. But Razer showed up, something kind of out of left field, with a 4K webcam that has a 1/1.2 inch sensor.
So a real camera sensor, not a webcam sensor.
This is like a high-end, super high-end smartphone Sony camera sensor.
Oh wow! Okay.
2.8 micron pixels. So this thing can like see in the dark. And a f1.7 lens.
Wow.
The thing that got me when I walked into their demo space was you walk into the room, they have a TV set up with, it was actually a large laptop set up. It was one of their Razer laptops set up with the webcam over it. And it was out of focus at first. I was like, oh, someone's thing is broken. But it has face tracking built in. And so it was out of focus because there was no face to focus on. And I walk up to the thing and it like
Boom.
pulls focus on my face and like
As you walk into
crystal clear 4K. So at 4K it's 24 FPS. It can go up to I believe 60 FPS at 1080p.
Okay.
So it's not going to do 120, but it's a webcam. You're still streaming it to the internet. But it looked so good. And they're calling it a DSLR replacement for streamers who are using a DSLR setup with a multi-$1,000 camera to record their face as they're doing, their game streaming sessions.
Yeah.
And this is
Wow.
$299. It's not thousands of dollars. It's $299. And I would never be excited about a webcam, but I'm excited about this webcam.
Well,
24 is the right. It's also the right resolution for.
I'm glad that finally somebody's making it a webcam, that they're taking the imaging experience seriously.
Yeah.
Because that's honestly the biggest problem I find is like all these webcams are kind of like mediocre, and yet you can use like an old iPhone like this 11 that I'm using to record here, and honestly, it's going to be a better experience,
And I do that a lot when I'm on video calls and stuff. I have an app that turns my smartphone into a webcam.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And people, even then, people notice that the video is so much better. They're like, "Oh, you got a really good camera." I'm like, "Yeah, it's just my smartphone and it's pointing at me, and I have it on a little tripod." And yeah, it's definitely better than whatever's built into your laptop.
I mean, I believe it. Like
Yeah.
it's got to be.
It's gotta
But my
be.
point is, like, I want Logitech, and like, I want the average webcam. Like maybe the slightly high-end ones, those
Yeah, like the
$200 ones.
exactly.
I want them to use real phone sensors.
Yeah.
Why is it that there's like every webcam made for any company seems to be basically some kind of ODM or OEM from China that uses some crappy webcam sensor? Same with dash cams are the same.
But-
why can we not get a dash cam with an iPhone 11 sensor in it?
That's true.
I mean, it's going to be the price, but also the heat. So I wasn't aware of this, that webcams pull a lot of heat. But you run your smartphone for 5 minutes recording video, and it
It'll
heats
start
up.
generating.
This camera from Razer heats up. It actually has vents. So it's a metal body, and it has vents in the metal body for heat. And I picked it up, and it was warm to the touch. And I mean, granted, it had been on for hours at that point. But yeah, I picked it up. I was like, oh, this is warm. But it is a metal body. It's a nice finish to it. And it actually has, not a lot of the webcams have like a physical privacy shutter on it. This one looks like camera blade, lens blades,
shutter.
and you
They close the
twist
blades,
it. You
yeah.
twist it, and it's not magnetic. It's spring loaded.
Yeah.
So it like you twist it a little bit, and it pops shut, and then it pops back open. It feels really nice when you do it.
I like it. I saw that. I stopped by. I didn't see the camera, but I stopped by checking out their the Leviathan, their new speaker, the soundbar speaker Pro version. They
Yes.
just released that one. And they also had the Edge. They had the Razer Edge that we got a chance to check out not that long ago, actually sitting on the shelf. Nobody could, they actually had people be able to play it.
Yeah.
There was an actual live demo. So that was exciting to see, which actually we could, starting today, we can technically talk about what we feel about it.
Oh, well, let's do that.
I would probably say the quick, short, I would say the 2-minute thing is amazing construction, amazing build, cooling system set up correctly, which is what we want in a portable, and also the ability of using it as a tablet or as a gaming experience. On the go, now it will be on Verizon, which is going to be one of the main features, and it supports, like when we were there, when they did a speed test and there was like ridiculous numbers, but it's Verizon. As long as you have direct line of sight and UW.
So it has ultra wideband?
It has ultra wideband.
Holy
And
crap.
as long as you can muster finding a place where you can sit for
As long as
direct
you're
line.
sitting on a street corner playing your games on your
Yeah,
phone.
absolutely. Or at that cafe right down the street from the tower.
Is that it?
No, this is not it. And so right next to Razer
Yeah.
is another brand that nobody's heard of. It's a Chinese brand. I can't even remember their name, but they just released their version of it, and I'm going to show this
Patreons.
to the Patreons. It's similar to Razer's, but the controllers snap onto the sides magnetically.
Wii style.
The fit and finish of this is better than Razer's. This is a company I've never seen before, and I forgive me for not knowing the name. I'm going to look it up in a second because it's on my calendar. But the two sides, so it's more like a Switch than Razer's is.
Absolutely.
And the two controllers, then when you take them apart, they snap together to make a mini controller.
Mini controller, yeah.
And then it has 3 cameras on the back for tracking, because you can put it inside a VR headset and becomes a VR headset.
Oh, cool.
Wow, a transformer.
So it's
Nice.
a transformer device. It's going to be $399, available late Q1, and the brand is. Hold on a second.
Take My Money? Is that the name of the brand?
Take my money.
Absolutely.
Okay, hold on a second, because it's past my calendar appointment, and I can't see past calendar appointments at this point. Pimax, the Pimax Portal.
Pimax?
Pimax.
P-I-E-M-A-X?
Pimax, and they're right next to the Razer booth, right next door to them, and they typically do VR headsets, and that's what they do.
Oh, okay, so that's where they're coming from.
That's where they're coming from. So their expertise is VR headsets and VR tracking, but then they said, hey, how about this portable device? And let's make it a portable gaming device and add the VR integration on that. It looked super cool. It's still, the software wasn't as clean cut as Razer's was.
I was about to say,
Razer's definitely has the
crazy good.
advantage. They're still looking at Google Play certification. They don't know who to talk to for Google Play certification.
Well, across the street, Google's in the middle.
They don't have a contact. Let's put it at that. So again, it's one of those Chinese brands that has this great idea.
But they
product.
don't know, yeah.
They really don't know how to bring it to market, but the fit and finish of this was amazing. The buttons felt really
To
good.
basically run Android on it.
Correct. Yeah, it's running Android. It has the gaming UI on top of it, so the gaming launcher and stuff like that. It was out of left field for me. I was not expecting this. And they emailed me. They emailed me and said, "Hey, you want to come by?" And I looked at the press release. They're like, "This looks dope." The design is great, and afterwards I'll show you guys a little bit more. But it looked really cool. It's always fun to be surprised by a product that wasn't even on your radar.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
TK,
So,
do you want to tell the world about, I mean, if you have something you want to talk about, I'd love to hear it. Maybe something we haven't covered yet, but I was going to talk about John Deere, because you and I
we literally just
from
walked
there.
off of John Deere's floor.
And I feel like, I mean, I'm not a farmer. I've done some deer stuff before where they've taken me to a farm to show me all the tech.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And it's kind of hard to be a tech person and not get excited about what they're doing.
The tech that they're trying to push for is really like crazy accurate tech. Like
they're using
money saving.
They're using cameras and machine vision, AI to, like right now the big innovation they showed at this event was that their planter, which is the thing that gets pulled behind a tractor to plant seeds. Right now, these things can do 1,000 seeds a second, 12 miles an hour, multiple rows, and what they've improved on that is that the seed, after it gets planted, gets sprayed individually with fertilizer. Whereas before it was a continuous spray down the trough where
And
the
they're
seed.
just spraying
So
the dirt.
they're not, and that's encouraging weeds to grow in that area.
Well,
so now
and
they're
wasting
able to
it,
save fertilizer. They're able to be more precise and potentially have less weeds. But there's a demo at their booth. You gotta see it, because when you see how quickly, they have a single row machine just throwing
At 12 miles an hour.
throwing
Yeah,
the
driving.
actual
Seeds
the
out.
seeds in there and then spraying right after. You're like, throw spray. But imagine this and then when they turn off when they go with the old mode where it's continuously spraying, you can see this happening, and this is just steady,
Yeah,
and it's just
steady on.
wasting.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
apparently they're saving 60% of the fertilizer. So imagine if you have a really large farm, you'd probably save a lot. And it's not the only thing. Like, they have, obviously, in the past, they've shown us their autonomous tractors that can plow fields autonomously.
Yep.
They've had, some of their machine visions in their combines to adjust all the settings on the combine to get the best yield or the best quality corn in the hopper, so that they can sell at a higher price. Stuff like that, and they're all using computer vision.
Yeah.
Their UIs on their displays inside the cabs of the machines are 3D now, rendered by 3D game
Cameras.
engines.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of insane to see that technology.
Tech and farming equipment, which you typically think
don't think about,
you think they're just basically plowing it with old machinery. Yeah.
One of the things I like about this is, yes, the farmers save money because they're using less fertilizer.
It's better for the environment.
And I was going to say, better for the environment, not for the fact of we're not just putting more fertilizer on things when we don't need it, but one of the major complaints for pollution is fertilizer runoff into our waterways, which leads to the algae blooms in the lakes and the rivers. I live in Cleveland, in Ohio, in Lake Erie. There are certain days where they close off the beach because of the algae blooms, which is caused by runoff of fertilizer from the farmlands. It just runs down the rivers, it hits the lake, the sun's beating down on it, and the algae in the lake just grows up and becomes toxic.
Wow.
And it's not safe to swim in. So for me, I'm like, I want to go to the beach more. So we need more technology like this, where it's not, let's overspray everything just to make sure we're giving coverage. Let's actually spray what we need to spray and not pollute our waterways with excess fertilizer.
60% less usage of that product alone is the savings. I mean, like as you said, ecologically, just from experiences, like I would have never known that.
Yeah.
That's something I never think of. I'm thinking of it that for me is now they're using the same quantity of fertilizer, but they're covering more territory. They're not having to buy as much. But then you're right. Runoff and concerns, ecological issues. They were also showcasing some of their new technologies with EV tech. We're trying to jump into having a construction site close to you in your home, but not having that massive engine.
Yeah.
All the different things going on.
You still had, because you're still digging, but you won't
The
get
generators
At
running.
least
The
you won't
generator,
get the diesel motor running.
Yeah.
All the hydraulics are run by a
I've
pipe pump now.
Yeah, I've actually watched a video recently about some areas in Germany where they're requiring their heavy machinery to be electrified. And so they're doing construction in the city. And in Germany, in the afternoon hours for the siesta time, they would be required to turn off the machines between 2 and 4 o'clock and not do construction in the city if you're in a residential neighborhood. But the video was about, and the technology is the same. It's not the John Deere stuff, but the technology is the same. Of they were able to run it in the afternoons because there's no generator sound. Just creating noise pollution in the city.
But that's some of the stuff, like the exciting stuff. And I got a chance to finally get on one of those.
So it's not just about like the tablets and the phones and the gaming laptops
And
and
the yogas and all
and
that.
even the webcams. There's so much cool stuff to see. We're barely scratching the surface everywhere we go, and it's hard because of that.
This is
And
day
again,
one.
we barely talked about cars last night with you, Nick, and we didn't talk about cars today. I mean, I believe the Dodge Ram pickup truck was announced today at 2 o'clock, so I haven't even looked at it. What else? Mercedes announced finally, officially, their charging network, and they also announced their own charging network, starting in the US,
Oh, okay, good.
open to other cars.
Of course.
They also announced that their ADAS system, the level 2, will do what autopilot can do with enhanced autopilot.
Oh,
Of
nice.
the navigate on autopilot, the equivalent of that. So where it will go to another freeway, take the exits for you automatically, does the lane change automatically.
As we do.
Not just with the blinker like we have as an option. So they are actually pretty much right behind Tesla here. Other than, of course, FSD, but I don't believe FSD is ready, so I'm not going to
No, I mean, I don't. Yeah, no, I play with it, but I'm anxious the whole time.
Yeah. So I think, the point is CES is, there's so much here.
Yeah.
Like VR headsets from Chinese companies that are not VR headset, but are gaming consoles.
Yeah.
So it's like, cool.
It is.
So we should wrap up. Do you want to each tell the world where they can find you?
You can find me on the web anywhere. Actually, just look for TK Bay. I would have probably said let the beard guide you, but the beard's a little bit shorter for the Patreon. But TK Bay on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitter, and hopefully TikTok at some point. I'll be a star.
And Nick, tell the world where they can find you.
If you want me personally, you can find me at Nick M. Gray, or else all of my coverage for CES and all the other great things throughout the year on Phandroid.com or YouTube.com/Phandroid, and Phandroids on TikTok and Instagram.
You're doing TikToks now? Madness.
Madness.
He's doing the dances and everything.
I am doing the dances,
You
especially
are?
here
Okay,
at CES.
now I need to see this.
No, I do not dance. I do not dance.
Nick can dance. That's the other side. Sorry.
Michael Fisher left us, but Michael Fisher's handles are the Mr. Mobile on Twitter and on Instagram, and also go to his YouTube channel. It's Mr. Mobile Michael Fisher on YouTube, so check that out. You know where to find me on the internet. I'm at Tankgirl, that's TNKGRL. Like the comic book character, drop the vowels, and you get my Twitter handle and my Instagram. And that's how you can find me. If you want to chat with all 3, 4, if you include Michael, of us, Twitter is probably the best way to go, for better or for worse right now. But you can also comment on the YouTube channel, which I'll mention in a second. My Instagram is all about pictures taken with phones, of cars, of other phones, of tech, of food, of travel, whatever it might be. So check that out. And the podcast is at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Spotify, everywhere good podcasts can be found. If you can rate or review the show in your app, please consider doing that. The YouTube channels are at youtube.com/mobiletechpodcast and youtube.com/mobiletechmore. You know how that works. You know how to like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the little notification bell, and of course the commenting that I mentioned. Comment about the podcast, comment about the videos. And Patreon, I mentioned it earlier in the show, patreon.com/tankgirl, that's patreon.com/TNKGRL. There's a bunch of perks there. One of them is joining our Discord server and chatting with me. There's also even a tier for you to have a call with me once a month if you want a video call and discuss tech. We are also available as a video podcast, which is great. So if you want to see this podcast ahead of time, comes out a day or two before the audio version, but on video where we can show you some stuff and it's a little less edited, a little more raw, Patreon's your vehicle. So if you want to help me out, consider joining Patreon and making a contribution every month. That would really help me, my producer, and everybody kind of like maintain the show. And if you can't do Patreon or don't want to, I get it, that's cool. There's a PayPal link in the show notes you can click through, make a donation, and help that way. So consider all these things. A quick shout out to Audible, our sponsor. Audible's been with the show for a really long time, and they're awesome. If you like reading books, but you don't want to actually read them, but listen to them instead, maybe, again, your eyes are tired at the end of the day. That's what happens to me. I don't want to see another screen. I've looked at my computer all day. And you love reading, but it's just too much. So Audible has this incredible platform of audiobooks, like the #1 platform. They have a ton of selection. Like you can basically get long form, short form. There's some podcasts even that are exclusive to the platform. And some books are read by the authors. So it's just a great platform to support. audibletrial.com/mobiletech is the URL where you can go to sign up for Audible. You get a 30-day free trial. You get to keep a book at the end, whether you stay or not. But I think when you try it out, you'll stick around. Pretty much everybody you know who signed up for Audible became a member and stuck around long term. So consider helping me out and helping Audible out by joining Audible, audibletrial.com/mobiletech. Thanks again to Audible for being my sponsor, and thanks again to Michael Fisher for being my guest, and for TK and Nick for being my guests again. 2 days in a row?
2 days in a row.
And TK, you've been on the show many times.
Many times. No, I know. Thank
Thanks,
you very
guys.
much for having us.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll have another show next week for sure. And until then, cheers, everybody.
This has been the Mobile Tech Podcast with Tank Girl, proudly presented by worldpodcasts.com. You can visit us online at mobiletechpodcast.com.